And welcome back to another GACC podcast where we're going to be talking about games, anime, computers, and collectibles, but not necessarily all those in one week. I am still your host, Harrison, and to my left...
Hi, I'm Faust.
And to my right...
James. I can come with anything. I was going to say something.
So, before we jump into everything, I must announce again that we are going to be at the Lizard Tail Brewery...
In a week's time.
July 15th, 1 o'clock... And we're going to be putting on our 1-year GACC podcast.
Yep,
this is essentially our 1-year anniversary from when we started doing stuff on the interwebs.
So come celebrate with us, buy some beer, check out what it is to actually record one of these shows live, and get yourself in as the studio audience.
Woo!
Woo! That's Lizard Tail Brewery on the corner of Eubank and Montgomery.
Yes.
In the shopping center there. It's pretty hard to miss. You'll see it once you get there.
Yep. Remember, we're going with a local microbrewery, and we're a local podcast.
Yep.
So, let's keep it local, Albuquerque, right? Is that how it goes?
Definitely.
Yeah,
keep it
goes.
local.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because everything else that's going on outside of the local area seems kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. We got a lot of news bubbling up, like updates on stuff that we covered previously.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like Doomfist.
Yeah. We've been excited about Doomfist. He dropped.
But it wasn't, what's his name?
Yeah,
the Old Spice commercial.
It's not Terry Crews.
It's not Terry Crews. That makes me sad.
I mean, that's one of those things where, it's Blizzard going, okay, the audience has this idea of what would be so awesome.
And they think it's awesome, and fuck you, we're doing this guy.
Yeah, they have always practiced the tenet that people don't know what they want.
Right.
So they've been teasing Doomfist. They were teasing Doomfist alongside the likes of like Sombra and even Anna and the we knew that this was coming.
Well, not Anna. It was Sombra and then Orisa.
Yeah.
Well, even then, Doomfist was more or less being used as like a plot point more than anything.
Yeah.
And Blizzard, basically, the fans willed Doomfist into reality.
Yeah, they said we must have this character.
No, they didn't. They've been mentioning Doomfist from the beginning
As part of the lore, but not necessarily.
and as a character too.
But not necessarily as a playable character.
The last when they mentioned Orisa, they kind of hinted.
It is a little unclear. I mean, at some point during the design, they may have made a decision to finally make Doomfist a playable character, and around the time that Orisa was probably being finalized, and so they were able to toss that in. But it's been dubious as to whether or not he was actually planned as a playable character from the start.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Well, now he's going to be.
Now he is. He's on the public test realm.
Is he on the public test
He's
realm?
on the PTR. Mm-hmm. People are already posting memes about him. There is already Rule 34 about him.
There's Rule 34 on everything.
There's it happens, folks.
Everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to go look up.
It disturbs me.
Well, Doomfist Rule 34 has got to be very disturbing.
It's very anything Rule 34 is usually disturbing.
Yeah.
So just be forewarned if you decide to go and use the all-powerful Google and you do a Rule 34 search, be prepared to have your childhood destroyed.
I just think of some perverse version of Cockknocker, with Doomfist.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, and there might be some crossover about that.
Because he has a huge
fist.
He has a huge fist.
But it's a glove. So.
Now, surprisingly enough, I haven't been able to find too much backlash about forgoing using Terry Crews as the voice of Doomfist. Like, everybody said that would be really cool. Terry Crews has said it would be really cool, but he hasn't been approached, and that didn't change. So
yeah, he wanted it bad too.
He wanted it pretty badly, but the fact that they didn't go with him, the fact that they didn't use him is, small potatoes. Yeah, it's not really that important. It's all right. They didn't get what they wanted, but they still got a cool playable character.
There might be a reason for that, but we'll talk about that next here. Mm-hmm. But what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you're big on Overwatch, James.
I haven't got to play him yet, so I don't know.
You don't do.
I got to see it.
You don't go
I watched
on the PTR?
it. No, I don't go on the PTR.
What did they decide what he's going to be? Is he like support class character?
He doesn't. That does not look like support. That looks like a tank.
He's.
But we just had a tank.
The abilities that I discovered,
maybe DPS,
is he has a ranged fist attack that works from medium to close, and then he has a series of punches and close encounter attacks. And his ultimate ability is a meteor strike akin to the vaulters from Final Fantasy games, where they would jump up and come crashing down. essentially.
Really?
And then his passive ability is anytime he uses ability against an enemy player, he gains a shield. So it sounds very tanky, which is weird because they dropped Orisa and she's kind of
It might not
character.
be a tanky, though.
It could be he's more of a support tank or
Like
a
in between?
damage tank, something like that.
Kind of like, what's her name is? She's a healer, but not really a healer.
Anna?
Anna?
No, not Anna.
No.
Symmetra.
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 Huh.
Because she does a lot of damage with those turrets.
Well, with the rocket punch and everything, you're looking at something that has some range on it. So I don't necessarily see a tank with something like that.
But the shield and other stuff, that's kind of...
Yeah. This is more of an off-tank or a support damage character.
An off-tank, too.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't really have much that actually influences other players aside from dealing damage. And in most cases, more like a crowd control kind of damage. I think a lot of this stuff is meant to affect more than one
If it's a crowd control, I could see it as like one of the support characters, because what you have, your DPS or your attackers, your support, and you have your healers, and you have your tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be really weird for them to follow up with another
tank.
Yeah,
it would be weird.
So maybe he is just a damage character along the lines of McCree or Reaper or anything like that.
Yeah. Possibly.
But, it remains to be seen. Right now he's on the PTR. Things could change because he is being tested out and tweaked and balanced and stuff like that. So, I mean, what we see now may not be the final product, as with any kind of early access thing.
Oh, he is offense, so he is going to be a DPS character.
Nice.
Good. Okay. I'm glad I made my best assumptions with only even, reading a bit of an article. Really.
That's going to be interesting.
Yep. So, No Man's Sky.
Wait, no, let's go talk about the SAG After. This is why Terry Crews may not have been able to be the voice of it, because we've had the whole SAG After thing going on with the voice actors, and because he is union, he may not have been able to take the voice during that time. However, what's happened with the SAG After?
The SAG After.
Oh, I did post that. Yeah,
you did post that. Did you? What did you get from that?
I got some of it. They're starting to agree, not come to an agreement, but they're agreeing on some of the things, and they're not fully saying, "Hey, you're right," but they're like, "Okay, let's make a compromise," and they're trying to work it out. So it's from what I read.
Yeah, the gist of it is several smaller companies, not AAA companies, not any of the big ones that were really named in the disagreement that we've heard thus far, and these smaller companies have chosen to remain unnamed thus far, have agreed to pay the residuals that the actors are asking for.
Good.
So, they are trying to work with them and try to kind of unstick the industry as it is right now. The big AAAs, so far no reports have been made that they've actually kind of caved on those demands just yet, but this weakens their position considerably. Other companies are willing to pay.
The companies are willing to do it. Are they asking for retro pay?
I don't think they're asking for retroactive pay. Currently,
they're just asking for, from here on out, we want royalty because we put in a lot of work on this.
Yeah. So the major thing that the voice actors are looking for here is what the agreement was is voice actors will be paid a day's wage for every 2 million units that a video game sells, up to 4 payments if sales reach 8 million units. So they, for every 2 million, they make an extra day's worth of pay, full day's worth of pay.
Okay.
This might apply retroactively to certain titles that were named within the dispute as being unfair wages or whatever, but currently right now it's just more of an agreement ongoing from this point onward.
That's good.
Now, once again, I stress these are smaller studios and smaller companies.
But that still makes an impact.
But that still makes a lot of impact, and it also means that these companies stand a chance of actually becoming competition or rivaling these AAA industry, these AAA studios that aren't budging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just yet. So that's news. That's the update that we have so far about SAG-AFTRA. But things are starting to unstick a little bit. If we keep monitoring it, I'm pretty sure we'll see some wheels turn on this a little bit further.
It's going to probably be another month, I would suspect.
Most likely, but we'll keep coming back to it. Hopefully, if anything relevant comes up, we'll come back to it. Definitely.
Well, Fallout 4 was actually one of the games that came up into this because of the secrecy behind it with the voice actors and the amount of unit sales and everything like that.
The guy who played Kellogg had no clue he was in a Fallout game, even after finishing his contract. And he just got hired from his agent, would show up and do some of the principal lines and then get a call every other couple of months to come back and do more lines and more lines and more lines, and was never told that he was in Fallout 4, and was never told he was a principal and key character in Fallout 4.
Yeah, and there was no real schedule. It's like, we will call you back if we need you for some more. So it's just like,
that's jacked up.
That's unreliable payment. That's an unreliable source of income. He said that the only way he even discovered that he was in Fallout 4 was one of the directors who was also in the dark, the voice acting director, figured it out from the lines that he was being told to record and parts of the script that he managed to see. So he was able to figure it out because he was a fan of the series and knew what was coming. But that was the only way they figured it out, was they were able to suss it from the content they were being given, not that they were officially told.
Yeah.
Currently, the one stipulation that has been set as an option to the actors being told and therefore creating a possibility for leaks is at least the agent should be told. So that they can decide, because then the actor can say, if this studio wants me for this or this studio wants me for this, then say yes. And they won't know that they're working on it, but the agent will know to say yes and negotiate appropriately.
But it allows an actor to potentially stay away from things that they may not agree with.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's true.
Like what's his name, who played the Lemons guy in Portal 2, the leader of why do these things just completely elude me? Is the minute I want to talk about them.
Portal 2, I don't know about that one.
Portal 2, the Wilson, the
Cave Johnson,
the
guy who played Cave Johnson.
Yeah,
very famous actor.
And he was actually mad about that?
So there was a point where he actually managed to have some influence in the outcome of Portal 2.
Really?
The actual plot of Portal 2, because J.K. Simmons, the actor, was actually privy to some of the information that he would have to be acting, because he was going to be acting alongside the girl who played Carolyn, his female counterpart, as part of the voice acting lines for this game and delivery. At some point, Cave Johnson is in the process of dying because of experimenting with moon something or other. And
moon dust,
and demands that they figure out a way to plug him into a computer. If they can't keep his body alive, at least they can keep his mind alive. But he degenerates too fast for them to develop the technology, so he makes another demand that says that Carolyn should be plugged into the computer in his stead. Thus, we get an explanation as to why GLaDOS is exhibiting Carolyn-like behavior. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that name wrong. So, at one point, there was a voice acting session where they were recording the Carolyn character saying she did not want it and that she was being plugged into the computer anyway. And J.K. Simmons refused to record the lines.
Because that made Cave Johnson too much of a bad character, and I don't think he was...
And he was uncomfortable playing that sort of character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though Cave Johnson said some absurd things, in the name of science...
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those things that would just put it past the line. Just, this guy is an all-around trash bag with no human redeeming qualities, because he did some very unethical experiments in the name of progress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was akin to human experimentation, which is, just because Aperture managed to make it to some sort of forefront of science and technology development, they managed to get some sort of carte blanche or not really be regulated or monitored with the experiments that they were doing. And then, the canon for the Portal, especially for Aperture Laboratories and stuff like that, goes hand in hand with the canon for Black Mesa as well, and the experiments that they were doing there, which were not exactly ethical either.
Yeah.
And so it's a really rich story. It's a really well fleshed out canon. I wish they would get back to it, but they don't. We don't see any sign of that happening anytime soon. But this is one of those weird things where I'm pretty sure J.K. Simmons just wasn't fully aware of the kind of character he was playing. And he was probably one of the few actors who actually had enough clout to make demands and find out more information about the role so that he could play the character correctly.
Well, on top of it, it was probably towards the end of the script anyways. And it's just like, that's one of the things that happens in a movie sometimes is an actor will do a certain amount of it, then a change will happen, and they'll go, no. And that's where you have issues between the directors and the actors sometimes, is because an actor can sign on, saying, okay, I'm going to do 6 seasons or something like that, such as with HBO and Game of Thrones, and the one that plays the dragon lady, Daenerys or whatever her name is. She did a couple of the nude scenes, but then later seasons she said, I'm not going to do any more nude scenes. So they had to rewrite things because guess what? They needed her, So, and the same, I've heard a few things happening during rewrites too. It's like, no, I won't do that because they don't want to be portrayed.
And the thing about it is she knows at this point she's in for the long haul. She has signed the contract. She's in these things. She's well established as this character in the series.
Yeah.
She's a very vital and key character, and that's the difference between this and the SAG-AFTRA actors, is that she can make those demands because they need her. Yeah. It's been going on, and it's getting more and more successful and making more and more money. She's making residuals. She's got her safety protected during stunts. Like, these are all things that the voice actors are asking for in the strike. You know, they're asking to be treated with the same respect and capability as any other actor out there, because their roles are just as demanding in many cases, especially the ones who are doing mocap work and things like that.
Yeah, because I mean that's how much the industry has evolved, and people don't realize this. Like, how many video games have we seen nowadays where they've mocapped the actual actor into it?
That's just the way they do it these days.
Yeah,
really. If it's in any way an anthropomorph or a humanoid character, 2 feet, even 4 feet in some, 4 legs in some situations, they will act these things out. And think about the most brutal stuff you've seen, like the finishing moves in God of War, stuff like that. That was motion captured. That was 2 actors in motion capture suits acting that kind of stuff out. And in some cases getting injured or pulling muscles or, ruining joints and having to be out of work for months because of this role. And then they make bupkis. They make, like, the acting equivalent of minimum wage for putting their body on the line, something that athletes do and make millions off of contracts and stuff like that,
or at least hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. So hope it goes well. Now, speaking of video games, a video game turned into an anime that Netflix picked up when we watched was Castlevania.
Yeah, we did catch the first season is 4 episodes. It's up on Netflix right now,
and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was quite good.
A season is 4 episodes. So what has this world come to?
No, this is Netflix.
Here is the thing.
This is not World, it's Netflix.
I'm a big Warren Ellis fan. I like Warren Ellis and everything that he writes and does.
He's the one who does Transmetropolitan, right?
He did Transmetropolitan. That was his big breakout kind of thing. That was a good one, too. To do that. He's done a lot of really great work for Marvel. He's done a lot of personal work on his own. He's written 3 or 4 books, arguably, at this point. He's working on a lot of things, especially as he's writing the script for the Castlevania series on Netflix, which was originally began as several years ago as a treatment to turn Castlevania 3, the game, into a television series, of which he wrote 4 episodes as sort of a pilot, sort of mini-series kind of thing.
Okay.
That deal died, but the script got around, and when Netflix was talking about new IP to option to create a series, this script got put in front of them. And so they bought and said, we are going to implement this initial 4-episode script as the first season. We want you to write more. So he is actually writing a full second season, more episodes than just 4. At this point, that's the information that I've managed to get from his newsletter and reading some news reviews about it as well. The other thing is, and I will have to make this statement for those people that are curious, Warren Ellis is outspoken about the fact that he has never seen nor played a Castlevania game, and he is not familiar with the Castlevania property beyond the key points, Dracula, Belmont, what have you.
Really?
Yes. But he still managed to write a very dark and very gritty, it's weird because pardon the French, but Netflix is on record on Twitter as saying that this series is R-rated as fuck, I will quote. So it is gory, it is bloody, it has...
First episode had lots of guts and gore.
Yeah, it is sacrilegious. It is, it is edgy, quite edgy. But it also has a sense of humor to it as well, if you are of that particular mindset. So
I wonder if he's going to have to get somebody in there that is more familiar with the Castlevania lore for the next season.
It's quite possible. Yeah, keep in mind that the only parts that are going to deal with the events of the actual game, Castlevania 3, is the first season, the one that's already dropped. Everything that happens after that point is stuff that's just going to be a part of that separate canon and universe, of which we know that Konami is already pretty much abandoned, and they have maintained a very loose connection or influence in that they just demand that they are acknowledged as the progenitor or the creator of the property. But they don't care what's done with it.
So basically they're
being a Konami.
Yeah.
Konami.
Yeah.
Yay.
But it's pretty good so far.
I will agree. I'm going to have to watch more of it. I only watched the first episode, but I made all the roommates watch it because I do that from time to time. And it is worth watching. It is worth checking it out, especially if you're into the whole, if you're into Warren Ellis or you're into Castlevania, if you're into the whole Dracula kind of thing, or just want to see something along the lines of like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust or something. I mean, it doesn't have the same art style, but I always thought that the Vampire Hunter D art style was kind of too black.
So the funny thing about Vampire Hunter D, we couldn't figure out why this one person hated both Vampire Hunter 1 and Bloodlust.
Yeah.
They loved horses. What's the first thing that happened in both of those movies?
Horses get killed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Technically, they're not.
Well,
they're horses.
The second one's a robot horse.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're cyborgs.
Yeah.
Cyborg robot horses, something like that.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic.
Actually, no, I'm talking about anime now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I like talking about anime.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust is the one you want to see if you want to get into Vampire Hunter D. Also, the original, if you're into classic anime, get into that. But.
Another anime you should get into is, was it something Lad? The one with the...
Arc the Lad?
No, not Arc the Lad.
Lad the Impaler?
No, not Lad the Impaler. So the premise behind the anime, Joe actually introduced me to it.
What's the anime called?
So something the Lad. I can't remember the name of it.
Joy the Lad?
You're just making up shit now. All right. So the premise behind it is this guy is a demon lord or demon king or something, a ruler of this area, and he's a demon who watches anime. Mm-hmm. And comes across a human and is obsessed with her. I forgot the name of it. If I remember it, I'll let us know.
Yeah, if you remember it, or if you want to look it up and see if you can discover it.
I'm going to look it up.
Well, you're going to probably have lots of time to look it up and everything while you're playing No Man's Sky.
Yeah, oh my god, No Man's Sky is back again. So that augmented reality game with the audio tapes that they were releasing and having people trace things down, apparently that let out a bit more information here. So there is an update 1.3 coming out for the game, of course. It's called the augmented reality game alternate reality game called Waking Titan. Had these puzzles that basically had the community kind of guessing about what was going to happen and everything like that.
Okay.
There's a big thread on Reddit about it if you really want to go look it up. I personally haven't kept watch on it because I just want them to do something with the game. And currently, right now, it's just a bunch of desolate planets with, some really annoying wildlife. And I've done one path, and I've made my way to Galactic Center, and I'm not really sure what else you're supposed to do with just a good, 18 quintillion planets of nothing.
You're supposed to put your name all over them and mark your territory. That's about all you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah, because I want to pee on every single planet known to man in this game.
That sounds kind of gross. So
the biggest thing is the completion of Project Waking Titan in August has come out of this augmented reality game. Goes on to say, input from the Mercury subroutine will pave the way towards new experiences in version 1.3.
Is it going to become co-op, multiplayer? You can actually see other characters, not just find their bases?
So far, all we have to go off of is this cryptic information coming out, but Hello Games is actually being tight-lipped. And
once.
Yeah, they're not confirming or denying anything. They're saying that the ARG is about Easter eggs and spoilers, but other than that, they are not going to really go with whatever it is that this thing is promising. So it could be a complete dud or an anticlimax, or it could actually be something that revitalizes the game a little bit.
Well, I mean, the Pathfinder...
It's called the expansion Refund.
People have already done that, thank you.
To be fair, the Pathfinder update did help revitalize it some. And it's interesting. It's like, we're just going to keep Sean Murray in a closet, and we'll just continue making updates, and we might get more, longevity out of this game because they made a lot of money out the gate on it. They really did, even with the refunds.
Yeah, between Notch's supposedly misogynistic tweets and Sean Murray's whole debacle there, maybe just like the major lead developers in games should just not really be the ones to support those games. Like, you should really get people to come out and present them, at least like Devolver Digital did during E3. Like, there's a whole send-up of the E3 presentation in general.
Yeah, they ended up lampooning the whole thing. I mean, it could be worse. It could be, you're too big to fail and can do whatever you want, such as, I don't know, ZeniMax.
Yeah, ZeniMax, man.
Getting into another lawsuit.
Yep. Court case after court case. So, I mean, we still haven't heard any news as far as like the deliberations about Carmack stealing intellectual property after he left id Software. There's something else about patent disagreements going on there as well. But now they're also in court again, being sued this time by, let me make sure I get his name right, Dion DiMucci. the creator of the song The Wanderer, which featured really heavily in their reveal trailer and subsequent marketing for
Fallout 4.
Okay.
But it made sense because the song fits, you know?
And the lead character is somewhat named the Lone Wanderer.
Yeah.
So, it did kind of tie into that. The problem here is that they did not fully honor a contractual agreement for licensing the song The Wanderer from DiMucci, who demanded that he at least have the right to separately bargain with ZeniMax for a better rate and to prohibit the use of the song unless his terms were met first. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to have some say in the context that his song was used in.
Makes sense.
They ignored this demand. They used it. They basically got permission, but did not contact him to really fully get his say on things or anything like that. And next time he heard about it was when he finally saw the reveal trailer.
Oh, so basically what they did is they pulled like any content creator does on the internet and will put the song to something else silly, and so the artist song is now attached to somebody else's
thing.
Transformative piece of work.
Yeah, DiMucci very obviously didn't make this song for the sake of Bethesda using that. This song has been a classic icon in music. I don't want to even try to identify the genre because that stuff all confuses me. But DiMucci is dissatisfied with his treatment and both the treatment of this song, making a statement through his lawyer that the commercials were objectionable because they featured repeated homicides in dark dystopian landscape where violence is glorified as sport. The killings and physical violence were not to protect innocent life, but instead were repugnant and morally indefensible images designed to appeal to young consumers. Had they actually listened to DiMucci, he could have used his right to refuse consent to persuade ZeniMax to change the scripts so that, for instance, they instead told the story of a post-apocalyptic struggle for survival without craven violence.
Well, so this is the lawyer speak of, I'm going to present my argument this way because this game was so successful, so I can get some more money.
It can be seen as a cash grab.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But
he's asking for general damages in excess of $1 million. And
that's pocket change at this point.
Fallout 4 sales figures. Let's just look those up off the fly.
It could have been worse because if you look at the actual lyrics for The Wanderer, they could have been so much backlash for being basically a misogynistic guy that just is a lounge lizard that basically preys on women, because it's like, I'm the type of guy who will never settle down. When pretty girls are, well, you know that I'm around. I kiss them, I love them. Cause to me, they're all the same. I hug them and squeeze them, and they don't even know my name. Okay, so basically, it's a song about being a player. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's like, do we put this with violence or do we put this with
misogyny?
Misogyny, yeah.
I mean, it can be argued that song itself and the context that it's in is a matter of a product of its time, that it wasn't necessarily picked up as an anthem very much. And I mean, if we're going to argue with that, I mean, it's like Inagata Devita. Nobody knows what that song's about. You could argue that it's about anything.
Well, or it's like the Numa Numa song is forever associated with a fat guy on the internet now.
Yeah. Whereas, you think that Numa Numa wanted that to happen to their song? How about the guy who came out with Tunak Tunak Tun? You guys remember that song? It made the rounds for a long time. Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
I know I said that wrong, but I can't speak the language, so I'm sorry.
But, some things you got to own it. But that's why I said with the Wanderer, this one seems like a bit of a cash grab. But considering the context, I was like, wait a minute. And so that's why I went and go look up the song. It's like, the song is about being a player, being a person that just goes around misogynistic towards women. Mm-hmm. But he's upset that it's associated with violence instead in Fallout.
Yeah. Now, essentially, the whole it's morally repugnant kind of thing, that just comes off as a nice little bit of fluff to add to any kind of news piece about this. And indeed, that is something that the media that has been covering this has hit upon. But DiMucci still has a leg to stand on because, and I know I'm probably saying his name wrong too because I'm horrible at names, he made the stipulation that he reserved the right to bargain for a better rate.
Right.
Before he agreed to the use of the song.
So it's like, granted, like I said, he has a leg to stand on. He's going to probably win this one with ZeniMax. Mm-hmm. It's just because we're talking about the lawyer speak in it and how absurd it was worded. That's sensationalized to, tear at any jurors or the judge. Mm-hmm. His court, basically, is what it comes down to.
Like they've destroyed my perfectly morally just song. That is not misogynistic at all.
I'm seeking moral. I'm seeking basically damages for
in excess of $1 million.
Yeah, but there's usually a name person like this.
$1 million.
Yes.
No, so $1 million. I can't find the figures. Your Wi-Fi's not letting me load up, or maybe it just did or something. Anyway, so. $1 million really is just a drop in the bucket compared to the money that Fallout 4 has made.
It's made billions.
Yeah, it is. As of February 7th, it was reported as surpassing Skyrim as Bethesda's most popular RPG yet.
Get on it, modders. Get more Fallout 4 mods out there. I mean, right now it's everything with Skyrim still has, that one has all the weird mods still. Mm-hmm. And they even released it as a special edition. Think about all those weird mods when Fallout 4 VR comes out.
Oh, jeez. Randy Savage screaming in your face in VR.
Thomas the Tank Engine in VR. Oh, man. That's nightmare fuel.
That is some nightmare fuel for sure. So, actually, the modders are probably a little reluctant to keep updating or actually using their mods right now because of the big contentious announcement at E3 by Bethesda. Called the Creation Club.
They're bringing this back. They tried this with Steam.
Yep, this is a follow-up to Valve's paid mods program. Allows third-party developers, including modders, to create sanctioned add-on content for Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition. Content will be sold through an in-game marketplace. For Creation Club credits, which can be purchased via Steam. So they are bringing back paid mods, is what they've announced. Now, we haven't seen much in the way of implementation, but it wasn't an announcement if it wasn't already kind of ready to go. So just expect that to show up in an update soon.
Well, I think there's some. As long as one of the big problems that people kind of forget about this is the modders actually were angry because other people were claiming their work as their own and making money off of it. If they've managed to clear up the ability to prove ownership of a mod, then it's going to probably work because they were already getting sales from it. The big squabble was this is poorly implemented, so the modders who actually made this are not making money. Or if there's a multi-pack of mods, how is that split up? Mm-hmm. And as long as they've solved these issues, horse armor for life, sir.
You may actually be hitting onto something there because some modders that were spoken to were actually given a chance to look over the actual agreement. There's an application process where you get approved to be one of these these sponsored modders that is allowed to make these mods and sell them.
And how big is this list?
Currently, right now, it's unknown. We haven't really had any numbers reported, but the modders are actually looking at this application process and saying that it's probably worth signing up. It's probably going to be better than it was implemented last time. Last time they kind of just dropped it and didn't really have any way of regulating or policing mods.
Yeah.
So people could make those claims or just make a small change and put up a mod that was essentially the same as somebody else's, and it's the whole patent thing all over again. With the application process, you need to be an approved modder, and you need to actually have some sort of plan for your mod, from what I understand. So modders, especially popular ones like the Troy Irving, the creator of Fallout 4 Settlement Supplies Expanded mod, are quoted as saying, "I saw it as another paid mod scenario, which was terrible at the first time, but it's a bit different this time around." So he's actually agreed to, after talking with some of his other modding friends, sign up and make an application.
And that's the thing is, this is going to probably be the change in the industry as it evolves, because there's been a lot of modders that have gone on and become actual game designers and picked up by studios. And
it's really how you make sort of a portfolio for game design. If you want to get in at the big house, it's sort of look at the games that are out there and make assets and expand on those things. You know, make maps, make armor. You know, show that you know that how to do what you can do, and that is going to fit into whatever design they happen to be working on currently. And then many times you end up going in there and getting access to their tools and know-how and just skyrocketing a career from there. So modding is the new, I don't know, unpaid internship when it comes to game design.
Yeah, but this is at least going to turn into a paid internship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can at least make some money. At least you can make a little money to little folding money to keep yourself in Nutella and, you know, bad comic books.
Yeah, this is like no worse than, you know, it's weird because, you know, it's like a lot of people are going to go rabble about this, but no, I kind of see it as an evolution. It's just like a lot of actors or singers now are getting their start on, you know, social media with like YouTube and things like that. And so they are putting their work out there to help them get discovered. And there's been some good artists that have been able to get out there and get picked up because of it. It's like, what is it? Lindsay Sterling? Is that the electro violinist? Yeah.
That's her.
She completely started on YouTube, you know, and then she got on America's Got Talent and whatnot. But it was...
Well, the new darling is Puddle's Pity Party, the clown that's like 6 feet tall or something.
Oh, yeah.
He sings. He has this magical voice, amazing voice. But he's dressed up as a sad clown and sings these amazing songs and just belts them out. It's amazing. I mean, he made it onto America's Got Talent. I hope to see a little bit more from him.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing with the internet. You know, other modding news.
Oh yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has relinquished to the power of the internet and its fans and brought back in some capacity the Open 4 mod for Grand Theft Auto 5. It got pulled for a while because of being able to, you know, for modding on the game, because people are using it for like some exploits and stuff like this. And I think they were planning on using and recreating Liberty City, which is still a protected IP. And so there was a cease and desist sent, but the community struck back and started giving bad ratings all over Grand Theft Auto 5. And so on Steam, they went down to a mixed rating review because it's all like, can't use the modder anymore. This is a piece of crap, blah, 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 blah. And that's like the new thing that people have to watch out for is like, you know, you sync the ratings of a game. Are people going to buy it? You know, and that's...
Well, even though it's something like Grand Theft Auto 5, and the engine there being used to create... What they want to do is just put Grand Theft Auto 4 into 5's engine, because 5's engine is just way more fleshed out and capable.
Yeah.
And 4, I guess, had an okay story. I don't know.
It did.
Yeah. I didn't play any of them. I played some of them, but didn't really pay attention to the story.
So, essentially they came out and kind of shut that down because they were trying to bring Fallout Liberty City assets into the San Andreas world and actually have a Liberty City in that engine, essentially. And they saw it as a potential... Take-Two saw it as a potential way to influence or interfere with the operation of online capability. And so the stipulation they have had to let the modding tools continue and let people continue to use them is that it can only be used for single player only.
Well, and that's the other thing is also they even shutting down the Liberty City thing in the single player makes it so that they can't bring in basically allows them to keep selling Liberty City because if they were to just actually remake it in the mod for free, then
that'd be a violation of copyright,
and they can't make any money off of it, you know, off of Liberty City anymore.
Yeah, if you do want to use Open 4, I believe you do need to purchase a copy of Grand Theft Auto 4. But it's the same as like, you know, when they're working on putting like Tamriel and related areas into the Skyrim engine or something like that. Like, they're even talking about bringing Morrowind into that engine. Yeah,
there's a huge project to do Morrowind and Skyrim.
You still need to own those. Morrowind.
Well, there's people that are, you know, and seeing it updated.
It was certainly one of the more broad projects of its time.
Yeah,
that's true.
And because Morrowind was so in depth and required so much gameplay time and research, it made it so that when people heard that there was another one coming out for this new system in HD. And it was going to be on the Xbox, and it looked amazing. It still kind of does if you think about how games were back then.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first saw Oblivion, it blew me out of the water.
Yeah. Well, that was
Oblivion.
Yeah.
You look at it now, and I kind of chuckle.
Yeah, but that's almost a decade old.
Yeah.
But but the thing is with Morrowind is you still have to buy a copy of it to use the mod version of Morrowind, and
you still need that for the voice assets, for some of the texture assets and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's not that you get this game for free if you download the mod. You still need to buy the game. You still need to own it, essentially.
And I do.
But as long as you have a directory and some know-how, modding does. I do have to say, modding is it's a process more unstable than early access in some cases. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You could end up fully destroying your copy of the game and having to reinstall it. You could end up losing saves. You could, I mean, there are so many things that you're putting at risk by putting mods in, and you're also taking the risk of ruining the actual game experience itself, which is why you kind of try to find ones to preserve lore, or you just decide I'm just going to turn this into a complete dumpster fire of a game.
Right.
Well, dumpster fires are a thing that happen, but luckily I don't think there's been too many of them this week.
There hasn't?
Not really.
Not really, at least in the, unless there's like a dumpster fire in like the realm of like the PC stuff, or like with the game developers or anything like that you know of.
Besides the Intel chips having their problems with their
hyper-threading.
Yeah, but that's not recent. That's been ongoing for a couple of weeks.
That's the only thing I know of.
Yeah, the only one that's interesting, I think, that's close to a dumpster fire.
What's that?
It's got to be
an actual dumpster fire.
Besides an actual dumpster fire, is what was it? SoundCloud.
Yeah,
SoundCloud.
Go ahead, it's your story, Jan.
Well, if it actually loads up for me, but they're cutting 40% of their staff as a cost-cutting move, so that way they can compete with Spotify and Apple. Now, there's a lot of people that use SoundCloud, and the big thing where SoundCloud is typically used is with podcast. There's a lot of people that will put it up there, but they're running out of money. I mean, granted, they're like probably a fourth or fifth place player in the market.
Okay.
But they are starting to be used a lot. But they are eliminating 173 jobs. Yeah.
Out of the total of 420 jobs that they currently employ. So that's more than half of their workforce, almost.
They are consolidating in Berlin, in New York, okay, because they're headquartered in Berlin. So SoundCloud is more of a European thing where it took off from. They're actually closing their San Francisco and London offices. So that's interesting too. So
I think this is just this is just tech companies doing what tech companies do. We came up during the .com era, where some .commerce site may be there this week, but you try to go back next week because you want to get that really cool thing, and it's no longer there because it just all folded. Yeah,
and that happened a lot during the .com bust. It still happens now, even with the entrepreneurial world, because I mean, it's like, what is it, like 70% of startups fail? I mean, like 75% of startups fail. And typically, it's the first 5 years is when the majority of them fail. The rest of that 75% failure happens in 10 years.
Yeah, you really do need to have a plan for longevity and expansion, or an exit strategy.
Yeah.
Like, you make the business, you send it off, and either it peters out eventually, or you end up selling it off to some other buddy. Just, let somebody else run it.
Who's going to destroy it.
Whatever.
Or make it successful.
Yep. But SoundCloud, like, I do agree, it's not exactly one of the best known things. I know what it is. I know it's a thing. But if you tell me it's a place to get music on the internet, I'm like, well, I can think of 5 to 6 or 5 to 8 other things that pop into my head before SoundCloud even comes close to showing up.
What's that one that Jay-Z's doing? Because SoundCloud's still doing better than Jay-Z is.
Jay-Z's doing something?
I didn't even know Jay-Z was doing the sound thing.
Jay-Z has another like music service where they're trying to do exclusive and get artists to just release on that.
Okay.
And that's
Tidal.
Yeah, Tidal.
Thank you, Google.
Tidal's the kind of a how to fail a startup. He's not doing too good with that.
Oh, I mean, I got into Last.fm and eMusic back in the day, and did a few Amazon purchases and stuff like that, and just figured I'm still kind of old school when it comes to my musical preference. I like going and finding a physical media, a CD,
yeah,
and getting that and having some sort of album experience which is what you're losing whenever you go for the online thing, because you just buy this track or that track, and that's what's really popular. And so now an artist only has to make stuff that people like, and they don't have to make stuff that actually compels them or moves them or has any sort of artistic merit beyond that. Or in a lot of cases, pop music stars buy their songs already pre-made.
Pop music stars typically nowadays don't even make songs that are considered good. They're being bought because of dance or personality or things like that. But that's the old man, everything sounds like poop because it's not from my day arguments.
Yeah, it does sound like that.
Yeah.
No, it has some credibility because it's, I keep on seeing thing after thing after thing and talking about how pretty and how beautiful and how much of an artist Katy Perry is, but I never hear a thing about her music. It's always about what she's wearing or her body figure or her face or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really, the Katy Perry brand is more about appearances. I don't think there's anything that anybody goes, well, this thing, this song changed my life.
That you know of or you've seen so far.
That I've seen so far. Now, that said, I don't go looking, but...
That's why I said that.
That's that old man.
Yeah, you both just sound like old men.
Kids these days.
You don't understand good music that has real soul behind it.
You both sound like old men.
It's all just an empty palette of crap.
You guys sound more old, though. Like that.
You do it pretty good. Why don't you do it?
Because I'm not an old man.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not complaining. You two are.
Okay. So the other one, there's actually complaints in regards to Apple with their bug hunting program. This is interesting. So Apple introduced a bug hunting program, but people have a slight issue with it because they're not, for the bug bounty, they're not paying enough money for it.
It's still more...
Oh, so you hunt a bug and you say, hey, this is a bug, and they pay you for finding it?
Yeah.
But because Apple's are actually, surprisingly, their phones are actually really, really secure, like to a point where and they're so locked down that if there is a bug, it's actually more valuable to not report it to Apple. It's worth more to hold on to it to help find other bugs or on the black market or to the government,
Yeah.
To Apple itself, Apple's not paying enough. There are basically other competitors in the market, because welcome to a free market society, that are willing to pay more than Apple will for fixing the bug.
Essentially.
That seems...
Well, I mean, it took them this long with all of this. I mean, they have an operating system that is pretty well installed into the general populace. Both Mac OS and iOS are very commonly used systems. They still maintain, this sort of back and forth tug pull majority minority on the market share. People use Apple products. And yet it's taken them this long to even introduce a bug bounty program, where they just rely on the zealous loyalty of their users to report bugs before.
Yeah.
Or to find them and discover themselves through rigorous testing. So, to introduce this and try to get the hacker community in on the whole thing is almost like, I think when the Apple head of security, mentioned this, I think he got enthusiastic applause. But then people actually saw the agreement that was going on there.
Yeah, and you realize it's not that good.
It's not that. You get more money from the NSA or from the black market pointing out these vulnerabilities because there's very few. But even then, Apple making this kind of statement is basically akin to any operating system that's made the statement that our operating system is 100% virus free. They don't write viruses for Linux.
Yeah.
Now they do.
Yeah, now they do.
They don't. Well, your mobile operating system is too new and too protected. Of course, they can't write viruses. There's malware for Android now.
Or the Apple device or the Android device becomes the basically the transport agent for the malware to the regular PC.
So if you make that statement, it's the same as some like old cop in a cop movie saying I retire next Tuesday or something like that, or somebody in the horror movie saying thank God we're all safe. It's
all challenge accepted.
It's asking for trouble, and so going to a black hat conference and saying we'll pay you pennies to find our bugs. We'll pay you pennies to find the bugs that you're getting paid like actual money to find already. Like that's almost a snub to them. Like I mean, I wouldn't want to own an I anything for the foreseeable future.
Well, you know what rhymes with I? Sky.
That was weak.
So
very weak.
It was weak.
That was weak.
But
what we got here?
So Sky does Minecraft. Very popular YouTuber. Okay? Especially with the kids and whatnot. Has over 11 million subscribers.
Cool.
Okay?
Awesome.
For 6 years. He is now done with it and is retired from making Minecraft videos.
What?
He's made two notably different versions of his video. One that's kid friendly and one's not. He says he no longer enjoys the game and has become disaffected by the community and feels that making kid friendly content feels fake. Okay, basically in his or his more adult one, he says, "I don't want to be a fake piece of shit." he basically exploiting kids.
Yeah.
To make money.
That's what it can feel like, especially when you're in a position of entertaining children, or even edutainment. Really, because I mean, Minecraft is kind of an educational tool, if you exploit it as such. But even then, I mean, when Minecraft was purchased and Microsoft started putting out the updates, and the updates became pretty regular, and they were just adding in things over and over and over again, making small tweaks and changes, it became fairly obvious that there was going to be a point where it reached critical mass, and it's approached, and I think some people might even argue it's past what's been known as a feature loaded point, where there's really way too much useless stuff to do, in that it accomplishes something within the game, but what it accomplishes doesn't really make you feel like you've progressed or doesn't provide any real progression within that game.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, I kind of got that view back during the Microsoft purchase, that, you know, they were going to take it and they were going to use it and put it out everywhere. And now it's on it's on PS4, it's on Xbox One,
PS4.
Yeah, it's had releases for like handheld systems. It's had releases for mobile.
It's on Vita
operating system. Yeah, it's on the Vita.
Yeah.
And it's even seen opening the doorway to bring things like Terraria into those spaces and 7 Days to Die into those spaces and stuff like that. But there's only so much you can do with Minecraft.
Or Terraria and stuff like that.
Or anything
well,
like that.
yeah, especially 6 years, because you got mods and everything like that. But the interesting thing is, you know, a lot of why he's quitting is he started as a teenager. He's now an adult. He's been doing this for 6 years. And his big problem actually is the toxicity of the Minecraft community. You know?
That's another thing.
It happens.
The entire community just became about people kind of undercutting each other, screwing each other for money, or screwing each other
out of money,
basically, and stupid crap like that. He says he doesn't want to be part of it anymore. He wants to be free to make other types of, you know, messed up jokes and everything else, and he can't do that because he's locked into entertaining these kids. So basically that's why he's moving on, so he doesn't have to be basically a fake piece of shit. You know, what's that thing even PewDiePie did recently, or is false positivity? You know, the thing is certain people start to see past it. I mean, kids don't, but adults do. This forced positivity that, you know, you got to keep everything positive all the time, because, you know, you go watch a video for entertainment and to escape from the daily drudgery of life.
Yeah, and you don't want somebody sitting there just reminding you that life is horrible and we'll all die and all that other stuff. You want to sit down and watch Steven Universe or the new Disney movie, or, you know, like you want to see something that is that same promise that you had as a kid, which is everything evens out, everything balances. There's a point. There's positivity out there. You know, you want to see something that renews your faith in the human condition as it is. And take it from a nihilist, sometimes it takes a lot to renew that faith.
Yeah, and these are long-term YouTubers that we're talking about. Here it's like, I mean, PewDiePie, at least he pivoted and basically said, "Too bad, guys.
Yeah,
you can like me for who I am, but I'm just going to, you know, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do, and you can stay or leave." You know, and obviously he got a lot of support from his fans, and that's basically what Sky Does Minecraft is doing. Is basically he's like, I feel trapped by my Minecraft, you know, I'm not having fun with it. And he says, it's just not worth it anymore. No matter how much money I'm making and everything. He's gotten to that point as a human. It's like,
You're not getting any. He wasn't getting.
He's not
any,
enjoying it.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting any personal fulfillment from the arrangement. I mean, yeah, you could be making money and be like, well, it's you're making money. You can just keep doing it for the money, but then you lose your heart. The heart that you put into it, the effort that you put into it, and you're just doing it
just to do it.
Just to do it.
This is one of those few instances where they say that money doesn't buy happiness, basically. Yeah,
that's totally understandable. Definitely.
Yeah. So it's lessons. This is an interesting lesson for anybody that's looking to get into the content you're going to be making on YouTube. Is you got to be careful, because if you pigeonhole yourself and that's what blows you up, you're going to be pressured into doing it. So, it's one of the things that's like when we do all this, we're trying to be a variety channel. We hope, all our fans that made it this far into the video.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
Thank you.
That you do enjoy, us as personalities and whatnot, the stuff that we choose to do.
Except this guy. You don't have to enjoy his personality.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Now, thank you for pulling back the curtain and letting everybody know.
Let him see the midget behind the curtain?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's you, by the way.
No, you got dressed up like the little midget now. Next time.
Whatever.
Good try on the recovery there, but yeah. Anyway,
but the thing is with this is, don't let your content trap you. I mean, even what was it? Markiplier had to come out recently and just say, it's like, because he got so big with his fame, so it's like, I don't know what to do. I feel lost and everything else like this. And that's one of the things is, you got to make sure that you keep doing what makes you happy. If you're not enjoying it, eventually people will potentially see that, or if they don't and they keep pressuring you because that's all they want to see is what makes them happy, they're going to break you as a content creator. You got to at least be able to say, I'm going to do what I want to do. My fans can come and go, and all the ones that have stuck along the way or new ones that have come in, hi guys,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So I know there's not a lot of people that necessarily watch this, but it does steadily grow.
Yeah.
And it
could be that people just put it on as some sort of background thing while they're doing stuff. That's usually the common use for
sometimes,
podcasting.
Yeah.
People use it sort of a radio show. That's understandable. I mean, you don't need to look at our ugly mugs the whole damn time, but
that's why we put out an audio format too, guys.
We are on Google Play and iTunes and all of that. So check us out there if you just want something to save your resources or free up some extra frames for CSGO or whatever it is other people do. And otherwise, just thank you for the support. Thank you for listening for this whole time. As we announced early on in the show, we are going to come up on our year anniversary episode.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we hopefully we have a good show put together for that, and a live audience that's supportive as you guys have been this whole time.
Yep.
The last anime I remember the name, Blood Lad. That's the one. If you want a good anime,
Blood
that's
Lad.
the one.
Blood Lad.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, my last minute thing is apparently as of today, blah blah. According to the PlayStation blog, they have released a Horizon Zero Dawn patch for 1.30. Adds a new game plus, so when you beat the game, you can start it over again with your current capabilities.
Ooh.
New face paint options. Ooh. And an ultra hard difficulty plus more extra trophies, more unlockables, new weapons, that kind of thing. So they've essentially released a free expansion to the game.
Cool.
And since I was a big fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm interested in going and actually playing that myself and seeing.
I still need to play it, actually.
It's good. I really do recommend it.
Well, the other thing, last minute then, is we have the Necromancer that's been out for Diablo 3. Mm-hmm. Apparently, there's been some issues with it since it's been released. Like, it's kind of broken.
Can you summon like tons and tons of skeletons?
I don't know. I just know that there's been issues with it. So
I dropped $15 on it just to see. I haven't.
You should do some research.
So
have that next time.
No. So
no.
I'm the only one that gets extra work assigned.
Yeah,
well, fine then. One of us should find out.
I haven't enough time, but it is $15 for it. It is, but
you do need the expansion as well.
Yeah, and if it's not playing like you expect it to, and there's bugs or other issues with the gameplay, Blizzard is aware of it, and they are working on fixing the issues. So,
all right,
we'll see how that goes.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, this has been the GACC podcast. And you can listen to us on iTunes and Google Play Music and audio only format if you want to. You can also check those out directly at our website. So, we have that there. And then on top of it, well, you can check us out on VidMe or YouTube in video format. And we are hoping to see as many people as we can. I think it's up to 60 at the Lizard Tail Brewery in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah. Max occupancy is 60.
Yep. At January 15th.
January 15th. July 15th.
July. Yes, July 15th.
July 15th.
It's one of those J months.
Yep.
And
otherwise, see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye. That's it.
I like how you take the one out of that whole statement.
Yep, that's the only reason. That's it.
You know what I heard from that?
Blah, 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 blah. Wah, wah.
I heard, I am not a bitch.
Do you have the nose and everything? And the chin?